Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new edition of the Triple Trio, our weekly look at all things Hong Kong racing, and we do it with the best form analyst in the business in Hong Kong, Hutchi, Clint Richardson, and also the Golden Boy, the Hall of Famer in Shane Dye. Hutchi, welcome to you. So much to talk about.
There is. Unfortunately, we missed the meeting last weekend in Hong Kong due to that horrible weather that has been around, and they had to obviously postpone that till later in the season. We had Wednesday, which was a tough card, but I've got all that behind me. I'm looking forward. We've got some brilliant racing, Sha Tin Trophy, and also the Everest in Sydney. Sydney, where, of course, Shane was, well, he was the man back in the day, Shane. There was no Everest back in those days, but you owned it there.
We didn't have this prize money. The prize money tomorrow is unbelievable, like a $20 million race, a $5 million, 2 twos, a 1. It's really incredible, and they've done a magnificent job, New South Wales Racing.
Oh, no doubting that, Shane. And, of course, the reason we're talking about the Everest because it's part of the World Pool on Saturday. Hey, Shane, just quickly, it looked hard to find a winner on Wednesday night at Happy Valley.
I actually flew back from New Zealand Wednesday, and I'd done the form over there, and I stayed out of the meeting, and it ended up like that. A lot of favourites got beat, Clint, on the night.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I mean, I was pretty keen on Sugar, and the last wasn't much he could do from a tricky gate. Needed a little bit of luck, but Lightning Bolt got a nice ride from a good barrier and just got over the top of him, and it was a finish where we saw Purton and Bowman fighting it out, and we've been saying it a bit this season, and we'll be saying it plenty more, I think.
Yeah, so we've got a huge show coming up, all the usual features like Sweet in Defeat. We're going to burst out of the gates with all the latest news as well. A special guest in Joe Pride as we build up towards the Everest as well. And Nicole Purton goes out to the driving range with Jamie Richards. That's going to be a feature as well, a stack of winners. First, let's get all the news as we burst out of the gates. And we burst out of the gates with the Turnbull Stakes Group 1 race at Flemington, a World Pool meeting, and the Hong Kong champion Romantic Warrior ran fourth. Now, Hutch, a lot of discussion. Firstly, Gold Trip was absolutely fantastic. There's no doubting that. But for mine, Romantic Warrior, who gave weight to them all, will derive a lot of physical benefit from this, let alone the experience of racing in Australia. What did you make of it?
I thought it was a lot better run than what I initially thought on the day. I mean, it's easy to be disappointed post-race. He ran fourth. He seemed to have his opportunity in the run. But I think in retrospect, and this is why we often hear trainers say, we're not going to make any decisions on race day, going forwards, good or bad. You can really dissect it and see what a good run it was. Firstly, he was pretty keen in the run. Secondly, the pace was very strong. He was close enough to that pace, giving weight away. I think 5 of the first 7 were 10th or worse than the run. So it was a race that's set up for those back markers. And let's not forget he missed that trial leading in. So he's going to derive a lot of benefit from it in fitness. He comes back to weight for age conditions going to the Cox Plate, and he'll be ready. And he's a type of horse that can sort of get the right run in the race. So there was a lot of merit in the run. I thought the runner-up was fantastic from England, West Wind Blows. Gold Trip was good, but he was also race fit and had the race run to suit. So while on the day, Shane, I was a bit disappointed, there was a lot of merit to that run. And I know J-Mac's been saying since, don't read too much into it, but on face value, while he looked like he had the run of the race, I think that it was a lot better run than it looked.
I agree, Clint. Watching the race from me after 200 metres, he wasn't going to win. He was on the bit too hard. He was too keen. You got to remember that early on in his career, he was a 1,200-metre horse at Happy Valley, so he jumps running. And he just pulled too hard there. He's going to benefit a lot from the run. If you watch Gold Trip in the run, he was sensational, but he was saving energy. And I keep telling people, energy is a big thing. He was back last, relaxed. So when he come out at the top of the straight, he could always quicken. So I was disappointed he didn't win, but there were excuses, and he's only going to get better.
And I can imagine, Hutch, I think it's an overreaction from the local markets in Australia for him. When you consider there must be a query at 2,000 metres with Alligator Blood and also Mr. Brightside. There has to be a query whether Amelia's Jewel even goes to a Cox Plate. I'm convinced that the Australian punters will get their head around Romantic Warrior. He'll end up being favourite for the Cox.
He may well. I think he's going to be very close to it, depending on what goes there. But I find it all quite interesting. I mean, we see it year in, year out, don't we? Not so much with the Australian public. I think racing public in general, people, we want to build these horses up. There's a lot of hype. If he wins the race, who knows? He'd probably into $1.80 way under the odds. But, he's got to improve. He does have to improve. But I agree with you. I think that they're a little fickle, the public, I think, from jumping up as quickly as they have. That said, Shane, he does need to find that 2 or 3 lengths.
There's no doubt he does. The only thing with me all his career that I worry about is he can't break 23 seconds per 200 metres. He's never been able to do it. You have a look at all of his runs, whereas a Golden 60 can run a 21.2 if he needs to. California Spangle can. He can't do it, this horse, so he needs pace in the race where they're going along, and he'll just come out at the 600 down the side there at Moonee Valley, and he'll keep going. So he doesn't want sprint homes in races. That's disadvantage to him. So I wouldn't be too worried. Moonee Valley will suit him. They always go along in a Cox Plate. It's very rarely you get a slowly run Cox Plate. So he'll be fitter, he'll be more acclimatised, and I'm sure he'll be better Cox Plate Day.
And the perfect example of how good the world pool is. So the official price in Victoria was $19 for the winner in Gold Trip, but with the world pool, $30.50. So world pool meetings will certainly be really popular in every jurisdiction around the world. So congratulations, everyone involved. And also, Hutch, congratulations, Mark Newnham. He's hit the board. He's a winner in Hong Kong as a trainer.
Yeah, great performance by this horse. I tell you what, we often say, this horse has improved since it's changed stables. Well, this horse had done absolutely nothing, Happy Hero, nothing. And on my figures, he literally improved. You hear it in the racing saying on occasions, this horse has improved 10 lengths. Well, he literally had improved on my figures 10 lengths on anything he'd done. So well done to Mark. I mean, you want to get that monkey off the back, Shane. He's managed to do it there. The way that horse won, he'll be winning more races, no doubt about it. And he's really turned the corner. I'm not sure what the issue was with the horse, but Mark's got him going well.
He definitely improved. But if you have a look at all the triallers, Clinton, you would know this. All of Mark's horses he's got from other trainers from last year, they've all improved at the trials. They've been trialling well. I think he would have had 2 winners last Sunday. I had both them on top if the races were on. So he's only had, 13 runners. He hasn't had many. He'll be right. He'll get going, and I'm sure he'll get a full stable by the end of the season.
And on Wednesday night at Happy Valley, Danny Shum trains a double. Angus Chung rides a double, Hutch.
He does. Danny's got the stable really humming along. Danny's often been a trainer to strike early in the season. Jerry Chow's riding pretty well, although he copped a suspension for this ride. He shifted in. He needed to stop and straighten there. But just want to give a quick shout out to Cody Moe. We mentioned Mark Newnham as well. Look, there's another rookie trainer this season, Cody Moe. He's only had a handful of runners as well, and his horses is another trainer that I think he's done a pretty good job, Shane. We're only going off the small sample size. You often see it with the new trainers, horses that move, they can improve that little bit. Nothing wrong with the way Cody's going either.
Well, lately, the last 3 or 4 years, they've all been very successful, haven't they?
Yeah.
From Frankie Lure to last year, Jamie, and who else was there? Pierre Ung, that's who I was trying to think of. He did really well. So the club have been very successful selecting the right trainers to start training in Hong Kong.
And Pierre's got 7 wins already this season, so he's 4 behind Francis Liu, who leads at the moment with 11 wins ahead of Danny Shum and Casper Founds with 10. And from a jockey point of view, we're going to chat about them a lot, Hutch, aren't we? Purton versus Bowman. Purton on 14, Bowman on 13, with Vincent Hose on the sidelines at the moment with 8. So the battle at the top from both trainers and jockeys is going to go down to the wire. We're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Vincent has a appeal going on. That said, I think he'd be gutted about what's transpired because Vincent obviously had that injury, but we had 3 really, Vincent's trajectories like that. Hughes was in for a big season as well. And Vinny would have, with the support of some of the local trainers, Francis Loy and etc., he was sort of taking that next step, and it would have been interesting to see what sort of challenge he could have issued Zach. And that 10 meetings, that's basically Shane the season gone from in terms of a championship point of view.
He can't win. He can't win. Zach wins the premiership. It's a one-horse race. He'll be winning for sure. Yui will probably run second or third, and Vincent will run second or third. It's a toss-up, but Zach will win.
Well, yeah, it looks like, and Zach should win, and he obviously broke the record last year. But I'm just saying, in terms of Vincent is sort of making inroads in that department. So, you know, that really can knock your season around. We saw it a bit with Karras last year with injury, Richo, and other things. It's sort of, you don't get that momentum back, and it's not easy to wrestle back. You lose certain rides. So, look, we'll wait and see what plays out with the appeal. But Vincent will certainly have a pretty good weekend as well. I think he's got a couple of nice rides.
So last year, Vincent rode 96 winners. So he had a fantastic season last season, and he was always going to repeat it this season if his fitness stands up. And he won't lose any trainers at all once this suspension ends. No. They'll all want him.
No, and you've been a big advocate of his, Shane, and I agree with you. I mean, looking at the way he's riding, he's taken that next step. I think Golden 60 has been fantastic for him in terms of pressure and how he's riding in big races. So he's there with the other two, and hopefully we'll wait and see what transpires, like I said, with that appeal. But irrespective of that, he's going to have a great season again.
Yeah, well, he certainly has handled the pressure, hasn't he? Let's find some future winners with Sweet in defeat.
They're off, and Sugar missed the start by 4 lengths. Then Dublin Star, Sugar fast buck, smart leader. Oversubscribed, lunges at the post, missed. Sugar, that's a sweet win for Alfie Chan.
The Sweet in defeat file, the Sid file. Hutch, well, we had a Sunday meeting abandoned due to the weather in Hong Kong, so we're only working off Happy Valley?
We've got to keep depositing into the bank though, Richo. We can't let the file get too thin, so we are putting some horses in, and I think these are 3 genuine winners in the short term. Tourbillon Prince, who has only lightly raced and on his 4th career start went very close to winning under a decent and well-rated ride. King Invincible with Zach on board. Unfortunately, he copped a really bad check late in the race. That's actually where Hugh Bowman copped the suspension for. And look, King Invincible, don't know if he wins, but he goes pretty close, and it was a good run. And Sugar, he's ready to win one at the Valley. He just was beaten by the barrier the other night. Now, King Invincible was a really good run, bang in the middle of the screen there. And he cops this severe piece of interference right at that point, about the 200-metre mark. And unfortunately for Hugh Bowman, he'll spend some time on the sidelines, but he still got to the line well, King Invincible, and I thought last season he was a little bit weak. He may have strengthened up. There was some good market support for him. He was entitled to run on there, but it was certainly a decent performance from King Invincible, and if he draws a barrier next time, Shane, I think he could go pretty close to winning.
Actually, all your selections there, the whole 3 of them went very well. And, of course, you need Gates at Happy Valley. That's going to help a lot. And Sugar had the wide run, but he's a winner waiting to happen once he draws in.
Yeah, it was severe interference, wasn't it, Hutch? And your point's so valid. The fact that he picked himself up and charged at the line was terrific. So 3 go into the Sweet in defeat file there, and they're worth following into the future. Genius or Slaughter from the Hall of Famer now.
The end across, answering the urgings of Shane Dye. Mannerism coming at him. Mannerism has got it. Daring tactics by Shane Dye. He's got Octagonal in full flight on the corner. Bold tactics by Shane Dye are going to pay off, and he pinches the Chipping Norton.
Unique opportunity for us to pick the brain of a Hall of Fame jockey in Shane Dye as he casts his eye over the rides in Hong Kong. And Shane, who would you like to put the spotlight on?
Well, we've only got one meeting, so it's not easy. I thought Wednesday night, Ivy League, Keegan DeMello rode this very well. He got him into a good spot, but he went forward at the right time down the back. I know the pace didn't slow, and that's when you should go forward. But if he hadn't gone forward when he did, the horse wouldn't have won. That's him back a bit in the blue colours. But if you have a look into the back, he comes out and he goes forward to the second horse, the leader, who ran very well, Clint's horse he just mentioned. And if he hadn't have done this here, there's no way this horse wins, Clint.
Oh, I thought it was a great ride. The ride won the race, Shane. I couldn't agree more. A couple of them were sitting behind. I think they were waiting. I'm not sure what for, but you know, the horse in front had gone a little bit quick early, but he sort of got an easy enough time mid-race. He didn't have many go with him either, Keegan, and look, I thought this was a fantastic ride, and Douglas Watt should have been really rapt with that because it made the difference and made it difficult for those back in the field the way the race shape was. And, you know, from probably the 500 on, there was only going to be one of two winners. It was either the leader or Keegan, so I couldn't agree more. I thought this was head and shoulders above anything else on the night. Clearly the best ride.
Oh, we're thinking alike, eh, Clint? Good minds think alike.
Yeah. No, I look at it. Was on the night I went, gee, that was a good ride. And then you go back and have a look at sort of the way the race was run, Shane. And then I looked at the stewards' footage, and you put it all together, don't you? And I thought, yeah, it was a really good ride. I mean, there's no way around it.
It just stood out to me on the night. A couple of others that I gave points to Richo. I gave a point to Vincent Ho on Happy Day. That was a very good ride. He got back, come through the field. And, of course, Angus, he's riding very well. He rode a double and he committed to going forward, especially in the first race on Diamond Soars, and he found the fence and he deserved a point. There were no slaughters. We only had one meeting to work off, so all the boys will be happy.
Hey, Shane, just with Angus, he is going better this season. Have you noted that, you know, apart from the record being better, that in general he is, you know, seemingly riding a little bit more polished, or he's getting things right?
It doesn't seem to pop up on bad rides for me. You know, it's only when I do the replays a week or 2 weeks later, when the horse races again, they pop up on my screen. But he seems to be going a lot better, and he's not going as fast in front or dogmatic to lead. You know how he used to have to lead? And he'll take a sit sometimes now, which is good, and you've got to. There's nothing worse than they just drive them mad to lead. But he's going well, and horses are running for him.
And you mentioned Vincent Ho there on one for Jamie Richards, who he just took over that horse, didn't he? Happy Day, who won well first up for the stable. So it was came from a long way back.
And some votes there, Hutch, importantly, as we look towards the leaderboard for the Idol. And there is the magnificent little bobblehead with Vincent Ho receiving that one vote. So he's only one behind the dynamic duo of Bowman and Purton. Where is the little bobblehead, Hutch?
When you're back in the studio next week, Richo, you will see the Idol in all its glory. I'm just not sure whether we'll have it faced front on or from behind, where you get that lovely mullet that Shane used to wear.
Oh, okay. That sounds exciting. Whichever way we put it, it'll be brilliant. And I had a lot of hair envy of him back in the day. Talking about envy, I wouldn't mind having the life of the magnificent Nicole Purton or the life of Jamie Richards, young trainer. And Nicole went out and about, in fact, went to the driving range with Jamie Richards to chat about his time in Hong Kong.
Jamie Richards heads into his second season training in Hong Kong. I'm going to the golf driving range with him today to talk about how things in his life are going off the track as well. Jamie, how did you assess your first season training in Hong Kong, and what were your highlights?
The first season in Hong Kong, I hope was a pass mark. Certainly something to build on. But yeah, I was happy with how it went, but I think there's always room for improvement, and you critique things in the off season, and I'm fairly critical of how our performance was. I think there's certainly room for improvement, but I think ultimately we did reasonably well with the horses that we had, and hopefully for the new season, the new horses that we've got coming in can help us take that next step up.
Seasons Wit in front, he needs the line, explosive Witness driving. Seasons Wit has clung on, I think, by the barest of margins.
When you moved to Hong Kong, you started playing golf. What made you take it up?
Your husband told me that I needed a hobby outside of racing, otherwise I would go crazy. So started playing a little bit of golf, got some lessons, still playing very poorly, but enjoy getting out.
How important is managing that work-life balance for you?
Hong Kong's a very intense place. It's a bit of a pressure cooker, particularly when things aren't going very well. It's a good place when you're winning. But yeah, I think to give yourself a bit of freedom, play with some friends, have a few drinks afterwards, I think that's important to be able to stay in the game for the 11 months that the season is. Obviously only been here for one season, but enjoying, hitting a few balls and having a few laughs.
So I had heard that you used to spend a lot of your downtime duck shooting. That activity is not available in Hong Kong, so you've taken up golf. How does the fun factor compare between the two?
Duck shooting was something that was a bit of a family tradition that my dad loves, and my grandfather that's in town at the moment or recently loves. So that was something that we did as a family, and now Dad's out playing a bit of golf while he's here on holiday. So I think it comes back to doing things that are common amongst your friends and family, and certainly both activities I find very enjoyable. Most people may not, but it's something that we enjoy doing.
What do you and the team want to achieve this term?
I guess for this season, having trained 35 winners last year, we would like to try and better that tally. We'd like to try and have a little bit of success in some of the big races. We had a bit of success at Happy Valley last season, and I think we just tried to place the horses that we had as best as we possibly could, and sometimes Happy Valley is a little bit easier than Sha Tin, so it would be nice to try and train a few more winners at Sha Tin, and it would be nice to try and work some horses through the grades. Class 2, Class 1 listed in group racing would be great, but we also understand that it takes time. A couple of people said to me when I arrived, "Are you a patient person?" I said, "No, not at all," but I think that's something that you really have to be mindful of when you're in Hong Kong. Horses take time to adjust, people take time to adjust, and hopefully if we continue to place our horses correctly, have them running over the right distances, have a bit of luck with barrier draws and have the right jockeys on, then hopefully we can work our way a little bit up the training ladder.
So I know you're pretty competitive. Do you fancy a driving competition?
Sure, why not?
You're going to take me on?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay, well, our first thing, we'll try and hit as close as we can to the 50 just here.
Okay. Yeah.
The middle 80 of the 3.
Okay.
And then the middle 100 of the 3. Right.
Okay.
50 yards.
Right, so the 50 here, right? Or
Yeah.
not this 50, this 50.
Go to the 50 in the middle.
Okay.
Not bad. Right, I put one.
Oh, wait a second.
There we go.
Hang on a minute. Oh, maybe we just go straight to the 80.
Righto. Purton.
Oh, my hair's choking me.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's it. 80, here we go. Oh,
There we go.
Here we go.
Look at that. Ripper.
Woo! Oh, I would
Perfect.
take that as a win.
Perfect.
Oh, what a wonderful story. And 2-2 the official tally there. And I think maybe we need to get the auditors to check out those scores. Great stuff from Nicole Purton. We love her being part of our team at the Triple Trio. Let's talk world racing, global racing next. Talk global racing and racing in Australia, because the Everest meeting at Randwick is part of the World Pool. So punters all around the globe can bet into the World Pool, and they can do it with terrific racing. With the World Pool handicap, the Reginald Allen looks to be a really progressive horse in that. The Goldmine Stakes, which has been won by So You Think in the past. The Kosciuszko for the Country Gallopers. $2 million up for grabs to the Sydney Stakes, with Bella Nipotina being an emergency for the Everest. It will be one of the favourites. The Everest worth $20 million. Silver Eagle worth $2 million. King Charles III Stakes is a Group 1 race worth $5 million. And we finish with the Ank Stakes for the Group 3 race for the mares, where I think Renaissance Woman can be really hard to beat. Let's have a look at the Silver Eagle, Hutch, and see if you can steer our punters into the winner.
Yeah, it looks a terrific race, doesn't it? I mean, it's laden with some depth in the event, that is for sure. You know, you go from top to bottom. But I think a Victorian can go north of the border, Richo. Benedetta, terrific run behind subsequent winner Star Patrol last start. She's got a serious winning record. She's nicely weighted 54.5, and I thought she'd take a lot of beating here. I think there's some value in the Quinella. In the fixed markets anyway, around $12 for Vienna Princess. Now, I think on the day, on the tote, in the World Pool, she'd be probably somewhere between $10 and $14. Looks a decent chance in the race, and I thought those two might be able to fight it out and we could have a duet. I know the duet's not that popular in Australia, but we know the World Pool will have plenty of people betting into that side of things, so why not give it a go? You could get a very handsome dividend there.
Yeah, I like it. So Pericles with Zach Purton riding for James Cummings and Godolphin. Ruthless Dame's a Group 1 winner. She's second up from a spell. Madame Pomery's a 1,000 Guineas Group 1 winner. Now Hugh Bowman comes across to ride. Yellow Brick, the really talented Queenslander as well. And there is Benedetta, horse number 12. So I'm hoping for some scratchings. I think even Sebenak, Zach Lloyd, the young son of Jeff Lloyd, might be able to run some sort of race as well. A couple of the emergencies might run well if they get an opportunity to get into the race. So that's the Silver Eagle. The King Charles III Stakes, Hutch, $5 million up for grabs. It used to be known as the George May.
Yeah, it's a ripper race, isn't it? And it's attracted a stellar lineup, as you'd expect. And at the head or the top of the billing is the horse that picks himself, Mr. Brightside. What a preparation for the Lindsay Park operation. The Hayes Jr., Ben, JD, and all of the team, they've done a fantastic job with this horse this time in. And look, he's the horse to beat again. We'll take a look at his most recent effort. He beat subsequent winner Alligator Blood, who's going to be a great chance in a feature race at Caulfield on the weekend. But he's just thriving, Richo. I mean, you've seen what he's been doing, and so is Shane for that matter. And if he turns up in the same sort of form, I actually think it's not a bad sort of early quote for him. I'm not sure what he'll be on the Whirlpool in the day, but if he's around even money, I'd be taking it.
Yeah, and for our Hong Kong audience, there's an opportunity, Shane, to see him because he might come to the Champions Mile on Champions Day in December.
Yeah, he's flying and he's looking really good. He's won, of course, the Doncaster, didn't he, when Zach rode him? So he's got no worries in the world about going to Sydney and performing. He's going to be the horse to beat. He's going to be short. Fangirl's racing well. She gets back a bit. She'll hit the line. She's got a good gate with James on, so maybe she might just race a touch closer, but she's going well, and I'm sure she'll run a race.
If you're wanting to throw another one into the Cornella, as I know that those pools, I think Democracy Manifest, he was very unlucky last start. So I know that Barrier might put a few off, but I think the horse that Shane mentioned, Fangirl, she's a big chance, particularly the conditions are good. If it's a wet track, don't go with her, but it won't be. But Fangirl and maybe Democracy Manifest might be another one to throw in.
He's going to be tested at weight for age is the big query for Democracy Manifest. So he ran really well in an Ep6, but I'm here at Randwick at the moment and there'll be nothing but blue skies, 29 degrees. We'll be racing on a legitimate good 4, maybe even a good 3 track by the time this race comes along. Light Infantryman and Buckaroo are both ridden by the Hong Kong jockeys and Zach Purton and Huey Bowman, and don't rule Light Infantryman out in particular. He has some Group 1 form in Europe. So they are just 2 of the many races we're keen to bet into in the Whirlpool. But the feature is the Everest. It's worth $20 million. And our Star Power guest has 2 live chances. Star Power with Joe Pride. $20 million, the Everest is the feature, and Joe Pride, thank you for joining us on the Triple Trio, and it must be a huge thrill, mate, to have 2 live chances in this great race. You went so close last year.
Yeah, we've been knocking on the door, sort of third a couple of years ago, second last year. Hopefully with that trajectory means it's a win this year. I'm not sure if it works that way, but we'd love to think so.
Well, Eduardo ran 3rd, Private Eye ran 2nd, and let's start with Private Eye because I loved his first up run, mate. You've got him as a kept on the fresh side sprinter. How is he?
He's great. More than happy with him. His trial last Friday was better than I even expected, which is always good. Showed great speed, and without his blink on, he just looked like he was there any second. Nash was going to ask him for an effort, and he didn't. He just basically sat on him up the straight. But I just love seeing a horse trial with speed in their legs, but also just with an attitude that he really wanted to be part of it.
He's a horse that on his day, he's got that unbelievable turn of foot, Joe, and sounds like you're pretty happy with where you've got him. This has always been the target. And you've known some way out where you were going with him.
Yeah, running so well in the race last year basically locked in this year that we had to target the race again. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's one of those horses for courses things. When horses show you that they can be so effective over a particular track and distance, you've got to give them another opportunity. That we tried to emulate it in the TJ, and we unfortunately hit a heavy 10 track, and he's hopeless on that kind of ground. But he's put in a couple of performances in his life. One being that run in the Everest last year, but also he's winning the Show County over 1,200 at Randwick today. I think he broke 33 seconds for his last 600 that day, and that's what it's going to take to win that race tomorrow. And it's going to be hard, dry ground, and the winner, no doubt, will be breaking 33 seconds for their last section of the race.
And Overpass will just be humming along up the front. No doubt you've checked the speed maps and the like. How do you see Private Eye being in the run, and what sort of head start will he give them?
Yeah, look, he'll certainly be giving them a head start. It's probably not. I know Redzel has led and won the race before, but with the experience of Eduardo, it was a very good front runner. It's not an easy race for a front runner to win. Even if you go slowly, they come up and attack you. If you go too quick, they run over the top of you. It's not easy. It's they're all good horses in this race. There's no weak horses, and as I say, the one that wins, it's going to be that horse that's finishing really strongly at the end, and that's the ability of Private Eye to soak up a bit of pressure. He's been adaptable off slow or fast tempos. He'd probably be sitting midfield, maybe 3 wide. I'd be pretty comfortable with that position. I'd sign off on that, right away if I could, because that's the kind of run that enables him to do his best.
And you talk about riders in form. Nash is flying. Yeah,
couldn't ask for a better jockey to be on his back, and he just seems to be in the zone at the moment. And if you watch him riding over the past few months, really, but particularly the last few weeks, he's just got an air of confidence about him, and they're the jockeys you want on.
Talking about a winning sequence as well, it's quite incredible. You've done a brilliant job, Joe. So full plaudits to you with think about it. I mean, there's some sort of effort to post all those victories together. I know you've placed him very well, but he's still got to turn up and do the job.
Yeah, he's been an amazing horse to work with, and the only horse I've had with a similar run was Rain Affair. He won 9 straight races, but he didn't win any Group 1s, and this horse has already won 2 Group 1s in his first 11 starts. So the way he's gone through the grades has been quite incredible, and I didn't muck around getting him there. He started last preparation off in January in the benchmark 72 midweek, and ended up winning a Stradbroke all in the one prep. So that's the feat of a horse, of an exceptional horse, and we just don't come across those sort of animals, very often. And it's been a fantastic ride for the owners to be on. And here we are, run under our belt, going into an Everest. And if the Everest wasn't there, I'd probably be targeting something a bit further with this horse. But I've trained him to sprint for this preparation, and I think his first up win showed that it's a really nice launching pad, that win for him to then run better in a tomorrow.
Joe, if you could have picked a barrier, you would have taken 5, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I sort of wanted 5 for them both, 5 or 6 for them both. So, one of them got it, and the other bloke, Private Eye, he's drawn okay. I don't think the Randwick sprint track is very fair. Only going around one corner, and being wide is nothing like what it is at Rosehill on the horseshoe-shaped sprint track. So, no, they've both got the barriers that they're going to need. It's going to be luck when those gates open.
Joe, who do you consider the horse to beat in the race? I think there's quite a few. It's not clear cut outside of your two. Who are you most afraid of?
I'm hearing that a lot, Shane, and I don't know. I just can't get past the top. When I say the top 3, my 2 horses, and Wish I Win. I'm not a form student. I might do a bit of form, but I'm a horse trainer. But I just can't get past those 3 horses. I just think they're the ones. I Wish I Win being the scariest of the opposition, and a very good horse on his day. I'm hoping his pattern is a weakness, because he's a very good horse.
Yeah, he draws barrier number 1. There's been a lot of discussion about it, but with Overpass in the race, and Cylinder, I'm sure, can go forward as well and run a really good race. I think they will stretch out, and I Wish I Win will get his chance. Shane, the Everest wasn't around when you were riding, but you rode in big Group 1s over 1,200 metres at Randwick. What do you need for a quality animal on a good 3 track on a hot day?
They don't actually have many Group 1s at Randwick over 1,200, do they, Joe?
Yeah, the TJ.
But that wasn't around when I started. That came along later. And I got in the TJ late, and it wasn't a Group 1 till further on, and I'd practically left. But before that, I'm just trying to think of Group 1s. There's not that many, is there, Joe?
No, there wasn't. These 2 are new races. And before that, in the spring, the best sprint was the Premier Stakes or the Shorts. and they're not Group 1. So they've done a fantastic job here in New South Wales. But I mean, that sprint trip though for jockeys to ride on is essentially the same, whether it's a Group 1 or, well, it's not the same, but it's, you know, the basis of the race is the same, and the quality when you get a field of quality horses, it's maybe it makes the jockey's job a little bit easy because most of them will take you into the race, but there's not going to be too many speed humps there. I just want clear running for my two horses. It's just if they get that, I'm confident they'll be in the finish.
And Shane, there's a bit of conversation about, you know, the rise at Randwick, and Joe touched on the point he had the mighty Eduardo. That's hard to lead over 1,200 metres if you go up the rise. I mean, I don't know, is that rise at Randwick overplayed a touch?
No, not at all. I was always wary of it. I always made sure I had hold of my horses before the rise. I never used to let them go. That was something that was always on my mind. They actually levelled it out when, as I was leaving, they redid the course and it wasn't as steep. But you go back to the 80s, that was quite a steep rise there. But it's a great run in at Randwick. Every horse gets their chance. And the thing with the 1,200 metres, Richo, it's pretty much a straight run. You just got a little bit of a turn about 200 metres after the start, but it's not much. So you just want cover. You don't want to be 3-4 wide without cover, but you can be 3 deep with cover, and that's the major thing. There's only 12 runners in the race anyway, so it's not as though they're going to be wide.
And they're all elite. Joe, let's set up the rest of your Everest day because it's a whirlpool meeting. Hong Kong punters are keen to play. Is Argentia ready to show her absolute best?
Look, she started off the preparation really well, and I've been disappointed in the last 2 runs, but they've both been at Rose Hill on very firm tracks, and I've got no doubt tomorrow will be firm as well. But the Rose Hill track, when it gets hard and fast, plays very, very on pace, which Randwick doesn't do. Her run at Randwick earlier in the prep, where she ran second to Buenos Noches, is obviously a really good run, and if she can recapture that, I would think she could be in the finish.
And Hutch, from a G1 Goldmine point of view, take us through the Everest.
Yeah, it's amazing when you go through some of the stats with the Group 1 Goldmine, Richo, because 6 of the 16 runners have actually got a perfect match. Here they are. I Wish I Win, Think About It, which I know Joe will be wrapped about. Hawaii 5-0, Alcohol Free, Espiona and Shinzo. So, you know, it's a great indicator of success. And you've got a 5% higher chance when you get that perfect match. We like to use the Group 1 Goldmine stuff for various things, but if you're looking to buy a good horse, it certainly goes a long way to telling you what will run well, and that's been the case again. So, Joe, you'll be hoping that the Group 1 Goldmine stuff's right. We'll think about it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. He's an interesting horse. I think I've maybe underestimated him coming into this. I've been thinking that Private Eye's my best chance, but as I sort of break down the other horses' form, I keep wondering why. I'm not doubting him, but keep wondering why I don't think he's my best chance. So he's an amazing horse. He just keeps winning, but I'm just glad they're both flying the proven colours and in my stable, because they'll take some beating tomorrow. They're in great order, and I'm really happy with the preparations they've had.
Joe, you're in a Hong Kong racing show, mate. We've got to ask you about the influence that John Size has had over you.
Yeah, look, I mean, he left for Hong Kong in 2000, and I spent 4 years working for him, and he's easily the biggest influence in my training career. I certainly wouldn't be here today talking to you guys if it wasn't for John and his wife Carm at the time. They not only the influence or the teaching underneath John, but also the fact that when he left, he set me up training, and I'm forever grateful for that. And still try and channel my inner John Size when I'm sort of programming and working my horses. So a massive influence.
Hey Joe, well we've asked Shane about who he thought the best trainer that he'd ever worked under, wasn't it? It's probably no surprise to you that he said I've worked with them all, and he did mention he said John Size is the best. Yeah, no surprise. I mean, he's a massive influence to this day, and he's certainly not forgotten here in Australia. But it's been a long time since he was here, and I'm glad he's not here, because he'd be knocking me off all the time. So
yeah. What makes him so good, Joe?
Doesn't make any mistakes, or doesn't make many mistakes, I should say. That was the thing that I sort of marvelled at working for him, and I would have worked for him for another 10 years if he'd stayed here, because I was in no rush to get my trainer's licence. I wasn't 30. I wasn't even 30 then. But what amazed me, we'd have horses come into the stable, and I'd seen them at other stables, and I sort of had an idea in my mind of how good they were, and he would just constantly turn those horses into much better horses than I thought they were ever capable of being. And he would do it so quickly. He would sum that horse up, or those horses up, and have them at their right distances, which would not necessarily be the ones they were suited to before, but just made so few mistakes, which is incredible, because we as trainers we do make mistakes. We have to. It's part of our job. We make a lot of decisions, but John he's quite amazing to watch.
Would you agree with this? The one thing I learnt is it's not about track work or anything. It's about making the horse happy. And if you get that horse happy, he goes above his ability. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the mental health of a horse and their confidence is probably the best way to describe it, is just paramount. It's everything. A horse without confidence, who's not enjoying what he does, he or she will never reach the heights they're capable of. So that's your primary job as a trainer. And
you've got a wonderful CV here in Australia. You've got a great life, and it's a family business. But do you have any aspirations to do what John Size has done and make your way over to Hong Kong, for example?
Oh, look, I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm very happy doing what I do here. I have a team of 50 to 60 horses in work, which in comparison to some of the big stables, and it's. I don't get daunted by the fact they're a lot bigger than me, those stables. I'm happy in my own skin. I'm happy doing what I do, and I like the fact I've got a bit of a point of difference over those stables, and I hope that appeals to owners out there, that they know they're going to get a different kind of service and a different kind of training from me.
Yeah, well, I think a horse that certainly one of many, Joe, that flies a flag in that department where you've emulated John is probably the work that you did with Eduardo, who's of course. I think he's retired now, but he was great for your stable, and he was a good advert, I suppose, for those training methods that you obviously learnt and now are using to your own effect.
Yeah, look, you had a lot of good tried horses over the years, and they've sort of been the backbone of the stable. But these two horses in the Everest, we bought them as yearlings, and we've brought them through. So we'd like to think that our team can do as good a job as any other training team in Australia, and I do that on a smaller scale, which doesn't see me represented at every meeting, but I take a lot of pride in the fact that when a horse wins, I know everything about that horse, and it's my team and myself that have done the work to get in there. And it's not some of these big stables are they're not factories, but they're massive operations, and I sort of never see myself in that role.
Well, there's only 12 runners in the Everest, and with your boutique stable, you've got 2 live chances, mate. Thanks for your time today. Good luck, and I personally look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Great. Thanks very much.
The one and only Joe Pride, 2 big chances in the Everest. Let's find some winners at Sha Tin on Sunday. Racing at Sha Tin on Sunday, and Hutch, let's find some future winners, and we start with the feature in race number 7.
Yeah, great race. It always is, the Sha Tin Trophy. So some of the better horses are starting to step out onto the track, and Beauty Eternal's one of those. And of course, Nicole Purton has been associated with this horse at every single start, sticks with him. I've got him marked a favourite. He might be shorter on the day. California Spangle, Hugh Bowman will ride. We've got Beauty Joy. I've got him marked shorter than I think what the market will be. He's got a little bit of fitness on his side, and there's big weight swings in his favour as he goes into this event second up and up to the mile. Of course, this is last season. Now, Beauty Joy's got a little bit to turn around, but Shane, Beauty Eternal's a winner. He's going to be the one to beat again. But look, there's not a lot between him and a couple of the others. And like I said, there is a pretty significant weight swing in favour of Beauty Joy. He's also had a run under the belt. So it's not a massive step up for him. California Spangle will have obviously the admirers. But Beauty Eternal is clearly the one to beat.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with Beauty Eternal. I thought he went off even though he performed well and won at the end of the season. I don't think he was the dynamic like he was earlier on. And I think the Derby took a bit out of him and he just lost that bit of quickness in him. Now he's had that spell and freshened up. Does he get that quickness back in him, which is going to be interesting? He's going to be very hard to beat. His last trial was very, very good. California Spangle won very well last season first up. His record's outstanding. We know that. He's going to jump. He's going to go forward. there's only realistically 3 horses that are going to be forward, and that's Money Catcher, California Spangle, and Circuit Stella. So Tony's got 2 of them, so he can control the race if he wants to with California Spangle, and he's got the best draw, gate 10. He can do what he wants. He's got a very good chance, the Toppy, but he is badly weighted, Clint.
Oh, well, he's just got to concede weight to them all. So it's 5 kilos to some very nice horses that, well, a couple of them also got race fitness and more weight to a lot of the others. But we know he's a class act, and of course, he has carried weight in the past and still won. So, like, they're going to have to certainly not be too far away from their A game if they're going to beat him. He's a talented horse, California Spangle, and that trial that we just watched, he was sound there. I thought the winner was pretty good, Dream Winner, who goes round in the last race. But
he was sound, but he wasn't startling, was he?
No, he was sound. I thought it was a sound piece of work. I don't think it was anything more than that. I like the fact that Hugh actually gave him a bit of a niggle late. You know, they can be a little bit deceptive, that one, Richo, as I put this question to Shane. But, you know, you do see some of them on that all-weather track. You know, they can look a little workmanlike, and sometimes they're a lot better than it looks.
Clint, Circuit Stella's form's very good over the mile. I think he's only had the 3 goes, and he's performed very well every time. He's only got 115 pounds. He's got nothing on his back, but he is 4 pounds out of the ratings. He's going to be forward. He's going to get a very easy run on pace. He's not the worst. No,
I've got him in there as well, and he's a genuine contender. He's got, you know, he doesn't have a lot to make up against the likes of a Beauty Eternal. I mean, the problem is it's a bit like I don't know, one of the, you know, some of those rivalries you see in sport where it might be a closer with Nadal on the clay, but he keeps winning, and that's sort of that's the sort of case with Beauty Eternal over Circuit Stella. He's been close, and at the weights and measure, you'd say, well, it's his turn this time, and it may be his turn, but Beauty Eternal keeps beating him.
Well, Hutch, it should be a beauty. That's the feature, of course, the trophy. Right about race number 8, can you find us a winner?
I think I can. I was pretty keen on Lucky Encounter when he resumed, and fortunately we got him right on that day. And gee, the race rated well for me. He was strong late, off a good tempo. He sticks to the 1,200 metres. He does go up in weight, and he is drawn a little awkwardly in barrier 12, but I've got him marked a 340 or 350 favourite. We've seen Greenwich. Now, he drew well at that meeting, which was obviously postponed, and he's got the outside gate. I think they'll both work forward, Lucky Encounter and Greenwich. And outside of that, Cotton Fingers, who debuted down the straight, he ran well against Sparkling Night, but this is a harder race. This race we're looking at, it's a good form reference. Look, Lucky Encounter was very good. There's already been Dragon Luck come out of the race and run well, amongst others. I just like this horse. I think you look at his overall record, Shane, he's had a handful of starts, and when he's been beaten, I think they dropped him back to 1,000 metres one day, and on another occasion he struck a wet track. Outside of that, he's been very, very good. Yeah, he should get across. You got Victory Scholars from gate 2 who's going to be forward. But outside that, there's not too many unless the first starter, Amazing Duck, pushes on from gate 11. He did at the trials. So he's a chance to get across from gate 12. He's got natural gate speed. He'll be forward. I don't think there's a lot of chances in this race, Clint. I really don't. Naturally, he's going to be favourite and the horse to beat. And then you've got Greenwich on top of that. Yep. And
Cotton Fingers run well last start up the straight, which was a bit of a surprise.
I've got him in there. What did you make of Enterprise Attack? Enterprise Attack, of course, won on debut last season. Not easy to do. For those who don't know with Hong Kong racing, only 5% of these imports managed to win on their first start. Now, Enterprise Attack, I thought, was solid. It was a wet track, though, and his recent trial was a little bit average on my way of thinking, but I think the market will be quite interesting with him. Enterprise Attack, what did you make of him?
Okay, his 2 trials have been pretty ordinary this time in. But then I went back and watched them from last year before he won, and they weren't great trials. So he may not trial as well on the dirt as some horses can, you know. So he's got a good gate, 4. He'll be running probably 5th, 6th, I thought, somewhere. If you look at his win last year, it was a good win. But on his trials this year, this season, I don't want to be on him yet. Can't do any more than win, Clint, and he won.
Yeah, he's a really interesting runner. So I'm a little scared of him, Richo, but, well, I think Lucky Encounter's a good horse to stick with anyway.
And we roll into race number 9. Also, a reminder for those that are betting into Sha Tin that both Zach Purton and Hugh Bowman riding at Randwick on Saturday jump on a plane overnight to make sure that they're nice and fresh and ready to go as we launch into our next race, Hutch. Race number 9.
They're like you two, though. they're both at the right end of the plane, so there's nothing wrong with them. They usually travel pretty well. I think this is a 2-horse race. Taj Dragon, Joyful Hunter, and I really predominantly think it's those two. Brave Dreams brings the Taj Dragon form. Excellent fighters, fresh up. Interestingly, over 1,400 metres, but he's another progressive horse who trolled okay. But we'll take a look at Taj Dragon and Brave Dreams. Look, Taj Dragon is drawn gate 1. We've highlighted this race in previous shows. He ran very well. This is a high rating race. They ran some time here. Yellowfin was pressured in the lead. Taj Dragon, he loomed late. He'd had enough, but he's going to get a great run once again, and he's a good starting point. That form, like I said, has already worked out pretty well. But that said, Shane, I think Joyful Hunter's I reckon Joyful Hunter's nearly the one that you'd ring for if you were still riding back in the day. I love the way that he hit the line. First up, 1,200, he goes to 1,400 metres now. His 2 Valley wins have been exceptional, and I think he's another one that's exciting, and he gets 5 kilos from his main rival.
Hey, Hutch, don't also keep in mind that Frankie Dettori's just announced that he's going to keep riding. I haven't ruled out Shane making a comeback.
Not a hope in the world, me. Frankie was always going to keep riding. He was never going to retire, even though he said he was. He's going too well. He was always going to go to America, so he's just milked it a bit in England. He's got very good rides, and he's riding sensational. And he shouldn't retire. He's going that good. 2-horse race, as you said, Clint. Joyful Hunter and Taj Dragon. Taj Dragon should have won last start for sure. No risk about that. He's got gate 1. You've got one decent leader in the race, Super Winner. Now, if Zach sits behind that, he's going to get a lovely run. But if he's going to come off the fence, who knows? So that's up to him. Joyful Hunters could run him down here, Clint.
Yeah, I really liked Joyful Hunter's run last start, and I wasn't sure, Shane, what to do with him. You know, he was sort of, his 2 wins last season were at Happy Valley. This time in, he's gone to Sha Tin, and you just wanted to see it again. He was a bit unlucky not to go very close to win. He got held up at a key stage. He's just a young horse improving. He'll strip fitter for that run, and 1,400, I think, looks way better for him. So, look, Taj Dragon is coming out of a high rating race where he ran really well, and he maps to get every possible once again. So, like I said, I think those are obviously the 2. Outside of that, it's pretty even, but yeah, I could be either way. I'm just going to wait and see how the market sort of pans out on the day. I've got a lot of time for both.
He looked very good at the trials the other day, Clint, Joyful Hunter. He trialled over 1,200 and he went extremely well. He had an easy trial. He looked good. Definite 2-horse race in my books, and neither one's going to win. And it's a good race. Good race.
Find us the winner of race number 10.
Yeah, this is a really interesting race. We talk about trials. Well, that trial that we showed earlier in this segment regarding Dream Winner, I thought was excellent. I've got him on top. It'll be interesting to see what the market does with him. It came for Flying Ace last start, who's in good form. Zach Purton sticks. Beauty Charge has that packing treadmill form, and he's in the mix as well. Gee, out of that race 46, which we're highlighting here, it was a slowly run race. It's a bit of a sprint home, but there's a stack of horses that could run well. Beauty Charge was good. Goko Win covered ground. Flying Ace was back, defied the tempo. Packing Treadmill will go forward again. And there's only a couple of lengths over a few of them. And I think there's a little bit more pace in this race, but gee, it's an interesting one. I want to be with Dream Winner. Shane, I thought his recent trial was a lot better. I just felt he wasn't trialling quite as well going to that debut, where he was disappointing. What price did he start first up against Kerpenny? $1.30, and he ran 5th of 5, seemingly with every chance. What did you make of his recent trial, and what did you make of that run?
It was a good. I think he needs 1,400, this horse. I've always said that, you know. So going to 1,200, I think, can only help him. But this is his D-day to see whether he hasn't come up this preparation or he's gone ahead. His trial was good. I've probably got him on top because of his ability and what he did last year, definitely not because of his first up run. I think it's a very open race, though, Clint. There's a lot of chances. I think the one that will improve a lot is Nordic Dragon. From gate 3, Yui will tuck him away on the inside, leave him alone, and you're going to see that horse quicken. Whereas the other day he was back and wide and had to work, and he didn't finish the race off, so he's going to improve. Beauty Charge, if they ride him just off the pace a bit, he's got a very good hope. He was unlucky first up. If they ride him up there too close, he won't hit the line. There's a lot of chances in this race, Clint. You know, they all went well first up. Even Reward Smiles had 2 runs and getting fit. Exponential from gate 6 might lead. They'll press forward on him with 119. So whether Dream Winner goes to the front or not is debatable, but he'll definitely be going forward on him from gate 12.
You mentioned D-Day. It's D-Day for Nordic Dragon for me. I understand what you're saying about his last run, but I felt he was a bit disappointing. He was in that 3-wide trial, and I was hoping he'd let down a bit better, but he might have needed it. You're right here. He gets a very soft run. You need to see something this time around. Hughes had a good association with, but there's a part of me thinking he might be on his mark at this point in time, or he's got to go back to the Valley. So he's got to produce. But I'll be with Dream Winner all the same.
Yeah. And you can see all your selections on hutchieshonkers.com, of course, for a full analysis of the 10 races on the program. What's your best bet?
Oh, best bets. Well, it's a good meeting. I think we've got one early in the day and one little bit later on the card as well, Richo. But look, Lucky Encounter will run a great race. I think there's your Quinellas, and I just like the single Quinella in race 9, 2 and 6, which is Taj Dragon and Joyful Hunter. Outside of that, I think we've got to play early in the day with Splendid Star. That will be in the first race. I think he's got a good chance. We saw him win very convincingly at his first up this season when he had a soft time for Zach. I think he'll win again. Same class, he'll be hard to beat.
Okay, I love the sound of that. So I love race number 1. So Splendid Star will be another to consider, and also some exotics there with some good Quinellas. RS, the Golden Boy, what are you thinking?
Let's go race 6. You know what I'm going to call them, Sniffles.
Yeah, that's right. Little Sniffles, otherwise known as Snaffles, of course.
Snaffles,
race 6,
Snaffles.
Number 6.
He's got gate 2. He's going to get a really good run. His last run was very good. I don't think 1800's going to bother him. There's a few chances in the race, but he should be the right price, and he'll give you a run for your money.
Before we go, Shane, have you had a look at the Everest, and who would you want to ride in it?
Well, what I don't understand, and you boys can help me here, the other day, that race, Hawaiian 5-0, like Hawaiian 5-0's run was better than the other horse. Why is he so big in the market? Now, I don't do the form and follow it, but I'll have a look at a race. There must be a reason why one is whatever it is, $3 or $4, and the other's $12 or $15 or something. I don't understand why.
It's a great question. I think it's because of the respect that they've got for Think About It being a constant winner, and also that he was very fresh first up, that he'll derive a lot of benefit from it. But Hawaii 5-0 has to be right in the race. James McDonald rides. A late pickup ride for J-Mac. Of course, he'd always associate himself with Giga Kick, say 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then Giga Kick went amiss, so therefore he jumped on Hawaii 5-0. So that's probably the rationale, Hutch, but I agree with Shane. It's probably an overreaction.
Yeah, it could be. Although, Richo, the horse at a price that we both like, Buenos Noches, he might be the little fly in the ointment. There's nothing wrong with his form whatsoever, and he's had the measure of 1 or 2 of these. He's a horse that's, I don't think we've heard or seen the best out of just yet.
No,
my one at big odds, Richo, is Senju, the Golden Slipper winner. Everyone's dropped off him. His first up run was not bad. He was back last in a race where you couldn't be. It was 100 wide. He didn't go bad. He's second up. He's got 53. He's got the weight advantage. He'll sit back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went a lot better.
I knew we'd get one out of him, Richo.
Yeah, I'll have a little bottle of wine that Cylinder defeats Shinzo home, mate, as a 3-year-old.
I'll help you drink it.
Yeah.
What type of wine?
Well, something. If I win, I want you to have something expensive. If you win, it'll be Matthew Lang $2.99 from Dan Murphy's.
It's a bottle of Grange.
Hey, team, great show as always. Good luck with your punting, of course, on Sunday, and also betting in the Whirlpool on Everest Day. And you can get the full analysis from Hutchi on Hutchi's Honkers. Hopefully you can continue to watch us into the future on 7+ here in Australia or around the world on hutchieshonkers.com. Happy punting and enjoy Hong Kong racing on the weekend. Goodbye.